Welcome, my friend, to the shadow journey through ancient flames and forgotten depths. I am Ragnar, the unseen narrator, guiding you through the epic tale of the Balrogs, fiery demons born from light, twisted into darkness in J.R.R. Tolkien's vast legendarium. Picture the dawn of creation, radiant Maiar spirits, pure embers of Eru Ilúvatar's thought, dancing freely among the stars. But ambition corrupts. Melkor, the rebellious Vala, whispers promises of power, luring some to his side. These fallen Maiar become Balrogs, hulking shadows wreathed in flame, their whips cracking like thunder, serving as Melkor's vanguard in cosmic wars. Enter Sauron, Melkor's cunning lieutenant, a Maiar like them, but master of deception. With Melkor's banishment, Balrogs scatter into exile, one slumbering deep in Maria's mines. Dwarven greed awakens Durin's bane, unleashing havoc. Sauron, now Dark Lord, senses opportunity, plotting to bind such powers to his rings of power, extending his shadow over Middle-earth. The climax unfolds in Moria. Gandalf confronts the Balrog on a crumbling bridge, a Maiar duel plunging into abyss, ending in rebirth and defeat. Yet legacies endure, shadow wings debated as myth or menace, while Sauron's schemes persist, fueling endless wars. Ah, there you are, listener, settling into the quiet of the night, where shadow stands like forgotten memories, and the stars above whisper secrets of ancient times. I am Ragnar, the unseen voice weaving through the fabric of this tale, knowing all that was, is, and might yet be. Let us begin in the vast expanse before the world took shape, where spirits of fire roamed free, unbound by the chains of darkness. Imagine, if you will, these beings, the Maiar, born from the thoughts of the great creator, Eru Ilúvatar, their essence pure light, flickering like embers in a cosmic hearth. They danced among the stars, their forms fluid and radiant, a symphony of warmth and wonder, untouched by the chill of corruption. But oh, how fragile is purity in the face of ambition. Deep within their fiery hearts, there lingered a spark of curiosity, a quiet questioning of their place in the grand design. Melkor, the fallen one, the first to rebel against harmony, sensed this hidden unrest. He approached them not with force, but with whispers, promises of power that echoed like distant thunder. "Why serve when you could rule?" he murmured, planting seeds of doubt that grew like weeds in a garden of light. And so, some Maiar turned, their flames twisting into something fiercer, more consuming. These became the Balrogs, demons of fire and shadow, their once bright spirits now veiled in eternal night. As I guide you through this, reflect on those moments in your own life when a small doubt creeps in, altering the path you thought was set. Stories like this often mirror our inner battles, don't they? The word Balrog draws from ancient tongues, echoing Old Norse roots for demon or fire beast, words that carry the weight of forgotten myths, reminding us how names shape our fears and fascinations. In the depths of their transformation, these beings wrestled with shadows within, much like how we confront buried thoughts that surface in dreams, urging us to face what we've pushed away. Picture the scene unfolding, the heavens ablaze with conflict, Melkor's rebellion shaking the foundations of creation. The Balrogs, now clad in armor of flame and smoke, stood as his vanguard, their whips cracking like lightning across the void. Yet, even in their fall, a remnant of their original light flickered, hidden, waiting perhaps for redemption that might never come. Gandalf, the wise wanderer who would later face one, knew this duality all too well, his own spirit a mirror of what they once were. He pondered in his quiet moments how choice defines us, how a single turn can lead to glory or ruin. Listener, have you ever wondered why fire both warms and destroys? It's a reflection of life's dual nature, warming our souls while testing our resolve. As the Balrogs descended, forging alliances in the forges of Angband, their minds churned with unspoken regrets, echoes of a paradise lost. Melkor fed on this turmoil, twisting it into loyalty, but deep down, in layers they dared not explore, a whisper of their former selves lingered, like a dream half remembered upon waking. This internal storm, so human in its essence, drives the epic forward. We all carry such flames inside, burning brightly or consuming us if left unchecked. The creation of the world progressed, with the Valar shaping lands and seas, but the Balrogs lurked in the shadows, plotting. Their leader, Gothmog, a name derived from roots, meaning dread oppressor, embodied this new terror, his presence a storm cloud over the budding realms. In those early days, as elves awoke under starlight, the Balrogs watched from afar, their fiery eyes gleaming with malice. Yet I, Ragnar, see beyond the surface. Gothmog's thoughts were a whirlwind of ambition and isolation, a lonely fire raging against the cold. It's akin to those nights when you lie awake, wrestling with choices that seem monumental, only to realize they're part of a larger tapestry. Here, we must note Sauron's rising shadow, Melkor's most cunning lieutenant, a mire like the Balrogs, but one who chose subtlety over raw flame. While the Balrogs embodied brute force, Sauron wove deception, learning from Melkor's whispers and amplifying them. He admired the Balrogs' transformation, seeing in their fiery might a tool for his own ambitions, even as he plotted in the background, forging rings of power that would one day extend Melkor's legacy. Sauron's influence began subtly, advising Melkor on how to bind the Balrogs' loyalty, turning their inner doubts into unyielding devotion. This alliance foreshadowed greater darkness, for Sauron would inherit the Balrogs' terror after Melkor's fall, using echoes of their power in his own wars. As alliances formed, the Balrogs became instruments of chaos, their flames scorching the young earth. But pause here, friend, and reflect. Isn't it intriguing how this tale builds itself, layer by layer, much like how your own stories unfold in unexpected ways? The philological dance of words like Maiar, stemming from Quenya for beautiful ones, contrasts sharply with their corrupted fate, teaching us about the power of language to evolve and betray. Philosophically, it poses a question. If beings of light can fall, what hope is there for us mortals? Yet, in that very fall lies the seed of growth, a reminder to embrace our inner shadows for true understanding. The narrative swells now, with Melkor's forces gathering strength, the Balrogs at the forefront, their shadows lengthening across the lands. In hidden caverns, they forged weapons of fire, their minds ablaze with visions of domination. But beneath the roar, a subtle melancholy persisted, a psychoanalytic undercurrent of loss, as if their inner minds yearned for the harmony they abandoned. Listener, as you drift toward sleep, let this chapter's mystery linger. What if facing our own inner demons is the key to peace? The stars fade, giving way to darker horizons, and our tale presses on, ever deeper into the abyss, with Sauron's cunning already weaving its threads into the chaos. Welcome back, gentle listener, as the embers of the first chapter glow softly, leading us into the deepening night. I am Ragnar, ever watchful, delving into the hidden corners of minds and motives that even the characters themselves scarcely comprehend. Now, as the Balrogs embrace their shadowed path, let's explore the seduction that bound them to Melkor's will. A descent not of sudden plunge, but of gradual whispers that erode the soul like water on stone. Melkor, with his silver tongue, painted visions of empires unchained, free from the Valar's orderly symphony, appealing to that innate desire for autonomy we all harbor deep within. Imagine the turmoil in a Balrog spirit, once a beacon of creation, now flickering with uncertainty. Their thoughts swirled with conflict. Is this power worth the loss of light? Yet Melkor's influence seeped in, exploiting those repressed yearnings for more, much like how unspoken frustrations bubble up in our dreams, demanding attention. The transformation was profound, their forms twisting into hulking shadows, wreathed in flame, whips of fire manifesting from their inner rage. Gothmog, rising as their lord, felt a surge of exhilaration mixed with a gnawing void, an inner echo of paradise forsaken. Sauron played a pivotal role here, emerging as Melkor's right hand, a master of manipulation who saw the Balrogs as perfect enforcers for their shared vision. Unlike the Balrogs' overt fury, Sauron's approach was insidious. He whispered strategies to Melkor, suggesting ways to deepen the Balrogs' corruption by promising them domains of their own in the New Order. Sauron, once known as Mairon the Admirable, had fallen earlier, his admiration for order twisted into a lust for control. He bonded with the Balrogs over their shared Mire origins, forging alliances in the forges of Utumno, where he experimented with dark crafts that enhanced their fiery whips with enchantments of shadow. This partnership amplified Melkor's rebellion, with Sauron directing the Balrogs in early skirmishes, teaching them to blend their brute strength with cunning traps, foreshadowing his later dominion over Middle-earth as they pledged fealty in the iron halls of Utumno, the air thick with smoke and ambition. I see the philosophical undercurrent, choice, that double-edged sword, shapes destinies in ways unforeseen. It's like those crossroads in your life, where one path seems liberating but leads to unforeseen chains. The name Melkor, from roots meaning he who arises in might, carries a philological weight, evolving from a title of promise to one of dread, mirroring how words we use daily shift meaning based on intent. Isn't it fascinating how this story reflects your own journeys, weaving threads of fantasy into the fabric of reality? The Balrogs, now fully corrupted, tested their newfound might in skirmishes against the Valar, their flames clashing against divine light. In these battles, hidden from mortal eyes, their minds raced with adrenaline and doubt, a psychoanalytic dance of ego and instinct, where raw power suppressed lingering regrets. Listener, have you felt that pull when ambition overrides caution, only to leave a shadow of what-ifs? Gothmog, commanding his kin, harbored secret visions of glory, yet in quiet moments his inner mind whispered of isolation, a lonely flame in the dark. Sauron, observing from the sidelines, learned from these dynamics, honing his ability to exploit such weaknesses in his future servants, like the Nazgul. As the ages turned, Melkor's rebellion escalated, drawing the Balrogs into the fray. They became his enforcers, scorching paths through nascent forests, their presence an omen of doom. But I, Ragnar, reveal the unseen. Within each Balrog burned a flicker of their Mire heritage, a repressed dream of harmony, surfacing in fleeting hesitations during the chaos. Philosophically, this speaks to redemption's possibility, reminding us that even in darkness, a spark of light persists, urging self-reflection on our own shadowed sides. Sauron's role grew as he coordinated with the Balrogs to build fortresses, his shape-shifting abilities allowing him to infiltrate enemy lines, gathering intelligence that the Balrogs then crushed with overwhelming force. This synergy made them a formidable duo, with Sauron's intellect complementing the Balrog's terror. The narrative builds with Melkor establishing fortresses, the Balrogs guarding his secrets. Their whips cracked like thunder, but beneath the fury lay a melancholy, an inner yearning for purpose beyond destruction. It's akin to those introspective nights when you ponder life's meaning, finding wisdom in the quiet. The term Valorukar, the Sindarin name for Balrogs, meaning demons of power, draws from linguistic roots that evoke ancient fears, connecting to our primal stories of monsters within and without. Sauron, ever the opportunist, used this power to his advantage, subtly positioning himself as Melkor's successor, even as he admired and directed the Balrog's might. Listener, as flames rise higher, consider how this tale unfolds like a dream sequence, each event a metaphor for personal growth. The Balrog's fall wasn't mere villainy, it was a mirror to human frailty, where unchecked desires lead to profound changes. Gothmog, in his armored might, contemplated the cost, his thoughts a whirlwind of power and loss, much like the internal conflicts we all navigate. And so, as darkness envelops the world, our story presses forward, the embers hinting at wars to come, with Sauron's shadow growing ever longer, inviting you to drift deeper into reflection and rest. Ah, friend, as the veil of night thickens around you, drawing you deeper into this woven dream, I, Ragnar, continue our journey, peering into the echoes of battles long faded, where the Balrog's flames first scorched the pages of history. The lands of Beleriand, a realm of emerald forests and silver rivers, became the stage for Melkor's grand assault, his forces surging like a tide of shadow against the light of elves and men. The Balrogs, now fully forged in darkness, led the charge, their whips lashing out in fury, igniting the air with infernal heat. Gothmog, their fearsome captain, strode at the forefront, his mind a cauldron of strategy and suppressed turmoil, whispering to himself of glories that masked a deeper void. In those chaotic fields, where swords clashed and arrows flew like shooting stars, the Balrogs revealed their true terror, enveloping foes in clouds of smoke that choked the breath from warriors' lungs. Yet, I see what they hid. Within Gothmog's armored form, thoughts flickered like dying embers, regrets of a light abandoned, bubbling up from hidden depths, much like those unspoken fears that visit us in quiet hours, urging confrontation. The wars unfolded in waves, from the Dagor Nuin-Gileath under the stars to the brutal Dagor Aglareb, where flames met elven steel in a dance of destruction. Elves, with their immortal grace, fought back, but the Balrog's presence turned tides, their shadows lengthening like doubts in a troubled mind. Sauron, ever the architect of deceit, amplified this chaos, directing the Balrogs from Melkor's side with calculated precision. As Melkor's chief lieutenant, Sauron orchestrated ambushes that combined the Balrog's raw power with his own sorcery, creating illusions of shadow that confused elven ranks before the fiery onslaught. He viewed the Balrogs as extensions of his will, training them in coordinated strikes that foreshadowed his later tactics in the War of the Ring. Sauron's influence deepened their corruption, whispering promises of eternal dominion, binding their fates to his rising star. In quiet councils, he confided in Gothmog, sharing visions of a world reshaped by fire and forge, where Sauron's rings would ensnare all, extending the Balrog's terror beyond Melkor's reign. Consider, adventurer, how these epic clashes echo the struggles we all face, where external battles often stem from inner unrest. The name Beleriand, drawn from Sindarin roots, meaning land of the Valar, carries a poignant irony, a place of divine promise turned battlefield, reminding us how words evolve with the stories they tell, shifting from hope to lament. Philosophically, it's a lesson in resilience. Just as the elves rebuilt amid ruins, we too can rise from our own defeats, finding strength in the ashes. Gothmog, commanding his kin, felt a surge of power, yet in solitary moments, his inner mind stirred with visions of what could have been, an internal storm reflecting our own quests for meaning. Sauron exploited this, using the Balrog's doubts to fuel their ferocity, while secretly plotting to inherit their loyalty should Melkor falter. As sieges raged and fortresses fell, the Balrogs delved into darker arts, summoning fires that devoured entire hosts. Hidden from the combatants' eyes, I reveal the undercurrents. A Balrog's web wasn't a mere weapon, but an extension of their rage, lashing out at the world as if to silence inner voices of doubt. Friend, isn't it curious how this tale builds its own rhythm, mirroring the way your daily challenges weave into personal legends? The philological essence of Dagor, meaning battle in Elven tongue, connects to ancient words for strife, evoking how conflicts, real or imagined, shape our narratives, much like dreams that replay unresolved tensions. Sauron, thriving in this strife, experimented with necromancy, racing fallen warriors to bolster the Balrog's assaults, his dark arts intertwining with their flames to create horrors that haunted Beleriand survivors. The wars pressed on, with Melkor's armies pushing boundaries, the Balrogs as unrelenting enforcers. In the heat of combat, Gothmog pondered alliances, his thoughts a mix of triumph and isolation, a psychoanalytic glimpse into the loneliness of power, akin to those times when ambition leaves us adrift. Elves like Fingolfin challenged the Dark Lord himself, their duels legendary, but the Balrog's interventions turned heroic stands into tragedies. Sauron, watching from Angbin's towers, learned from these moments, refining his strategies for deception that would later ensnare kings and elves alike. Philosophically, this highlights choices ripple. One act of defiance can inspire generations, just as facing our shadows fosters growth. As flames consumed the lands, a subtle melancholy hung in the air, the Balrog's inner yearning for purpose beyond endless war, while Sauron schemed to channel that yearning into his own empire. Listener, no, wanderer in this nocturnal realm, let the echoes of battle fade into a soothing hum, a reminder that even in chaos, there's room for reflection. The narrative swells with the weight of loss, Beleriand's beauty scarred, yet enduring. Gothmog, surveying the devastation, felt a twinge, a repressed memory of celestial dances, surfacing like a dream fragment. It's like those introspective pauses in life where we question our paths, finding wisdom in the quiet aftermath. The term Angband, Melkor's fortress meaning iron prison, draws from roots evoking entrapment, a metaphor for how we sometimes cage our true selves in pursuits of might. Sauron, master of such prisons, designed Angband's depths to house the Balrog's forges, where he forged artifacts that amplified their power, laying groundwork for his future as the Dark Lord. As the wars culminated in uneasy truces, the Balrogs retreated to shadowed halls, plotting anew. Their minds, ever turbulent, harbored secrets of fatigue, an inner plea for rest amid the storm. Friend, as you settle further into repose, ponder how this chapter connects to the last, building toward greater revelations. Much like life's chapters unfold with unexpected depth. The flames dim, giving way to a tense peace, but the tale marches on, inviting you to explore the falls that follow, where heroes rise and demons clash in eternal dance, with Sauron's cunning ever present in the shadows. Welcome deeper, dear adventurer, into the heart of our unfolding saga, where the night air carries the scent of ancient stone and smoldering embers, and I, Regner, illuminate the veiled paths of fate and folly. Gondolin, the hidden city of white towers and crystal fountains, stood as a beacon of elven splendor, concealed in the encircling mountains, a sanctuary forged by Turgon in defiance of Melkor's reach. But secrets, like buried thoughts, have a way of surfacing, don't they? Betrayal came through Maglin, whose jealousy festered like a wound, untreated, leading Melkor's hordes straight to the gates. The Balrogs, eager for conquest, surged forth, their flames hungry for the city's light. In the siege that ensued, Gothmog led the assault, his whip cracking against marble walls, shattering illusions of safety. I peer into his essence, beneath the demonic roar. Thoughts of dominance warred with a faint, repressed echo of envy for the harmony he once knew. Much like those inner conflicts that drive us to actions we later question. Elves defended with valor, Ecthelion and Glorfindel shining brightest, their swords flashing like stars against the encroaching dark. The battle raged through streets of pearl, fires leaping from building to building, a chaos where hidden motives played out unseen by the fighters themselves. Sauron, though not directly in the fray, was the unseen puppeteer, having manipulated Maglin's capture and torture in Angband to extract Gondolin's secrets. His interrogations broke the elf spirit, planting seeds of treason that ensured the city's fall. Sauron coordinated with Gothmog from afar, supplying enchanted siege engines infused with dark magic to breach the walls, allowing the Balrogs to pour in. This victory bolstered Sauron's status, as he claimed credit for the intelligence that made it possible, further entwining his fate with the Balrogs. He envisioned using such conquests to build his own power base, forging rings that could control beings like the Balrogs, extending their terror under his command long after Melkor. Philosophically, Wanderer, this fall teaches us about impermanence. Even the mightiest strongholds crumble, urging us to cherish fleeting peace, just as we learn to navigate life's uncertainties. The name Gondolin, from Sindarin for hidden rock, whispers of linguistic layers, roots tied to concealment and strength, evolving into a symbol of lost paradise, connecting to how words in our tales often hide deeper truths. Isn't it intriguing how the story pauses to reflect its own tragedy, mirroring moments in your world where beauty gives way to change. Gothmog, clashing with Ecthelion in the Fountain Square, felt a surge of triumph, yet his inner mind stirred with isolation, a dreamlike reminder of his celestial origins, repressed but persistent. Sauron, reveling in the reports, saw opportunities to salvage artifacts from the ruins, items that would aid his ring-forging ambitions. As dragons and orcs poured in, the Balrog's shadows engulfed the city, their presence a storm of fire and fear. Hidden from view, I reveal Ecthelion's final thoughts, a blend of duty and sorrow, facing Gothmog not just as foe, but as a mirror of corrupted potential, much like confronting our own darker impulses for growth. The duel culminated in mutual destruction. Ecthelion, driving his spiked helm into the Balrog Lord, both plunging into the fountain's depths, a poetic end that echoes life's balances. Friend, consider how such climaxes build the narrative's tension, weaving fantasy with the real, where endings birth new beginnings. Sauron, upon learning of Gothmog's fall, mourned the loss of a key ally, but seized the moment to elevate other Balrogs, subtly shifting their allegiance toward him as Melkor's grip weakened. The city's fall unfolded in waves of despair, survivors fleeing through secret ways, carrying tales of heroism. Gothmog's demise left a void among the Balrogs, their ranks thinned, minds churning with unspoken loss, a psychoanalytic undercurrent of grief masked by rage. It's akin to those reflective times when loss forces us to reevaluate, finding strength in vulnerability. The term Ecthelion, meaning of the sharp point, draws from Elven linguistics, a philological nod to his fateful weapon, illustrating how names prophesy destinies in stories old and new. Sauron capitalized on this chaos, sending agents to hunt the refugees, his pursuit relentless and foreshadowing his hunts for the Rings of Power. As flames consumed Gondolin's spires, the Balrogs reveled in victory, yet I sensed their inner weariness, a fatigue from endless strife, yearning for something more. Philosophically, this destruction poses a question. What do we build, and why, if all can turn to ash? Wanderer, as you drift in this auditory embrace, let the chapter's mystery linger, connecting to the wars before, hinting at exiles ahead. The smoke clears, revealing paths into deeper shadows, where our tale evolves, inviting further immersion into realms of fire and fate, with Sauron's ambitions burning brighter in the aftermath. Ah, Wanderer, as the echoes of Gondolin's fall fade into a distant rumble, like thunder retreating over far hills, I, Ragnar, draw you further into the quiet aftermath, where silence holds as much power as any roar. With Melkor's defeat in the War of Wrath, the Valar shattered his iron crown, banishing him to the void, and the surviving Balrogs scattered like sparks from a dying fire. No longer generals of vast armies, they fled into the earth's hidden crevices, burrowing deep beneath mountains, where time itself seemed to slow to a whisper. One such demon, the one who would become known as Durin's Bane, found refuge in the ancient halls of Khazad-dûm, the great dwarf kingdom later called Moria, curling into slumber amid veins of mithril and forgotten gems. In this exile, the Balrog's form lay dormant, flames banked to embers, but its mind stirred with unrest, visions of past glories clashing against the weight of isolation. I see into that shadowed consciousness. Repressed memories of celestial dances surfaced like bubbles in a still pool, urging a confrontation with the loss that defined it. Much like those quiet nights when old regrets rise unbidden, inviting us to make peace with them. The world above moved on, elves sailing west, men building new realms. But below, the Balrog waited, its presence a subtle tremor in the stone, an omen for those who delved too greedily. Dwarves, in their pursuit of wealth, expanded their minds, unaware of the ancient evil stirring beneath. Sauron, rising from the ashes of Melkor's fall, seized this era of chaos to consolidate power, viewing the scattered Balrogs as potential assets in his bid for dominion. Having evaded capture by the Valor through shape-shifting guile, Sauron retreated to hidden strongholds, where he began forging the rings of power. He sensed the Balrog's lingering presence, sending emissaries, twisted creatures loyal to him, to locate and perhaps awaken them, envisioning alliances where their fiery might would complement his deceptive arts. In Mordor, Sauron built Barad-dûr, drawing on knowledge gained from observing the Balrog's forges, infusing his structures with similar infernal heat. This period marked Sauron's transformation into the Dark Lord, as he manipulated elves like Celebrimbor to create the rings, all while keeping an eye on the depths where Balrog slumbered, planning to bind them to his will, as he did with the Nazgûl. Think about it, friend, how periods of waiting in our lives, those pauses between storms, offer chances to reflect on what truly matters, turning solitude into a teacher of sorts. The name Khazad-dûm, from the Dwarven tongue meaning mansion of the dwarves, carries layers of meaning, rooted in words for depth and endurance, evolving into a symbol of hubris when riches blind us to dangers lurking below the surface. Isn't it interesting how tales like this pause to echo real-world lessons, showing how hidden depths in stories often mirror the unexplored parts of ourselves? The Balrog, in its long sleep, dreamed of fire and shadow, inner yearnings for purpose clashing with the peace of oblivion, an internal tug-of-war that feels so familiar in our own quests for balance. Sauron, ever patient, used this time to expand his influence, corrupting men and orcs, preparing a network that could rally even dormant Balrogs when the time came. As centuries turned to millennia, the Balrog's exile became a kind of prison, its power contained but ever present, influencing the land in subtle ways. Earthquakes that dwarves attributed to natural forces, whispers in the dark that fueled legends. Hidden from all eyes, I reveal the creature's inner world, thoughts of resentment toward the Valar, mixed with a faint curiosity about the changing world above, like dreams that blend anger with longing, helping us process emotions we didn't know we carried. Durin the Sixth, the Dwarf King, prospered at first, his people thriving, but greed deepened their digs, inching closer to the slumbering beast. This slow build adventure builds tension in the narrative, connecting exile to awakening, much like how our stories gain depth from quiet buildups. Meanwhile, Sauron forged the One Ring, pouring his malice into it, a device that could potentially command even Maiar-derived beings like the Balrogs, extending his reach into their shadowed refuges. The Balrog's flames, though dimmed, pulsed with latent fury, ready to ignite at the slightest provocation. In those depths, its mind wandered through fragmented visions, an inner exploration of its fall, questioning the choices that led here, akin to those reflective moments when we trace back our paths to understand where we stand. The term Moria, later given meaning Black Chasm, draws from elven roots evoking abyss and despair, a linguistic shift that captures how places transform with tragedy, reminding us of language's role in shaping our perceptions of loss and renewal. Sauron, aware of Maria's riches, sent spies to monitor the dwarves, hoping their delving would unearth not just mithril, but allies like the Balrog to bolster his growing armies. As dwarven picks echoed louder, disturbing the ancient rest, the Balrog stirred faintly, its shadows lengthening in the tunnels. Freni, let this chapter's hush envelop you, a bridge from wars past to conflicts brewing, inviting contemplation on how waiting shapes us, turning exile into a forge for what comes next. The earth holds its breath, the tale poised on the edge of reawakening, drawing you deeper into realms where fire meets fate, with Sauron's grand designs looming ever larger. Deeper still, dear friend, as the subterranean quiet of exile gives way to subtle stirrings, like the first cracks in winter ice. I, Ragnar, guide you through the awakening, unveiling motives and murmurs that echo in stone halls. The dwarves of Khazad-dûm, driven by an insatiable hunger for mithril, delved ever downward, their hammers ringing like bells tolling fate. Unbeknownst to them, each strike nudged the slumbering Balrog closer to consciousness, its embers flaring in response to the intrusion. Durin's Bane, as it would be named, felt the vibrations through the rock, its mind awakening from centuries of torpor, thoughts flooding back in a rush of fire and memory, rage at the disturbance, mingled with a strange thrill of purpose renewed. In the depths, as tunnels expanded into vast chambers glittering with ore, the Balrog's form uncoiled, shadows spreading like ink in water. They peer into its essence. Inner flashes of ancient battles surfaced, clashing with the isolation of exile, an internal reckoning that mirrors those times when external changes force us to confront long-buried parts of ourselves, leading to unexpected growth. The dwarves rejoiced in their finds, King Durin VI proclaiming an age of prosperity, but whispers of unease spread, miners speaking of unnatural heat, eyes in the dark, omens ignored in the pursuit of wealth. This hubris, wanderer, adds layers to the story, showing how greed blinds us, much like in our own pursuits, where ambition overshadows caution. Sauron, by this time, fully embodying the Dark Lord, sensed the stirrings in Moria from his tower in Mordor, viewing the Balrog's potential awakening as an opportunity to expand his influence. Having forged the One Ring, Sauron dispatched orc scouts to the Misty Mountains, hoping to ally with or subjugate the emerging demon. He recalled the Balrog's service under Melkor and sought to replicate that loyalty, infusing his agents with dark charms to communicate with such ancient evils. Sauron's wars with the elves and men were escalating, and a Balrog's might could tip the scales, much like how he later used the Witch King. In secret forges, he crafted artifacts designed to bind Maiar spirits, testing them on lesser shadows, all in preparation for creatures like Durin's Bane. This awakening aligned with Sauron's broader schemes, as he manipulated events to draw powerful allies into his web. The awakening culminated in terror. A final pickaxe blow pierced the chamber's wall, unleashing the Balrog in a blaze of flame and shadow. Dwarves fled as whips lashed out, scorching halls once filled with song. Hidden from the chaos, I reveal the Balrog's thoughts, a surge of liberation, tempered by a repressed sorrow for the destruction it wrought, like dreams where triumph hides underlying loss, urging us to balance power with empathy. Durin VI fell first, his kingdom crumbling, survivors scattering to tell tales of the bane that claimed their home. This event reshaped the land, turning Moria into a tomb of echoes, a place where light dared not linger. Sauron, upon hearing of the rampage, sent envoys to Moria's edges, attempting to lure the Balrog into service with promises of greater wars against the free peoples, though the demon's isolation made it wary. Consider, adventurer, how awakenings in life often come from disruptions, shaking us from complacency and revealing strengths we didn't know we had. The name Durin's Bane, a title born of tragedy, roots in Dwarven lore meaning Scourge of Durin, evolving to embody inevitable downfall, connecting to how words capture the essence of turning points in any narrative. Isn't it captivating how this tale's progression reflects your own awakenings, where challenges become catalysts for change? The Balrog, now fully roused, claimed the depths as its domain, its presence a lurking shadow, influencing the world above in subtle, unseen ways. Sauron adapted, incorporating Moria's fall into his strategies, using the fear it instilled to weaken dwarven alliances with elves and men. As years passed, Moria fell silent, orcs eventually creeping in, drawn to the darkness, but the Balrog remained the true master, its mind plotting in solitude. Sauron's influence grew indirectly. His orcs revered the Balrog as a dark god, paying tribute that Sauron siphoned for his own ends, turning the site into a forward base for his eastern campaigns. Friend, in this auditory journey, let the chapter's suspense build upon the exile before, hinting at encounters yet to come. Much like life's phases, link in unexpected harmony. The flames roar softly now, the narrative edging toward fateful meetings, inviting you to relax into the unfolding mystery, where ancient evils meet wandering heroes, and Sauron's shadow stretches ever further. Ah, adventurer, as the subterranean flames of Moria flicker in anticipation, casting long shadows that dance like half-forgotten dreams, I, Ragnar, usher you into this pivotal meeting, revealing thoughts and tensions hidden from the wandering eyes above. The Fellowship of the Ring, a band of unlikely heroes bound by a perilous quest, ventured into the darkened halls of Moria, seeking passage through the mountains. Led by Gandalf the Grey, wise and weary, they navigated the labyrinthine tunnels, their footsteps echoing like whispers of fate. Frodo, the ring-bearer, carried the One Ring, its weight pressing not just on his shoulders, but on his mind, stirring doubts that mirrored the lurking darkness below. Gandalf, ever perceptive, sensed the ancient presence first, a chill that wasn't from the cold stone, but from something primordial stirring in the depths. His thoughts, which I alone discern, raced with recognition. This was no mere orc or goblin, but a Balrog, akin to his own Maiar essence, corrupted and fierce. The group pressed on, crossing vast chambers where dwarven glory lay in ruins, but the air grew thick with unease, drums in the deep pounding, like a heartbeat quickening. Aragorn, the ranger, gripped his sword tighter, his mind flashing to prophecies of old, while Legolas and Gimli exchanged wary glances, their ancestral rivalries momentarily forgotten in the face of greater peril. Sauron, from his distant throne in Mordor, felt ripples of this intrusion through the One Ring's connection to Frodo, sensing an opportunity amid the peril. The ring, forged in his malice, whispered temptations to Frodo, amplifying the shadows of Moria to draw the bearer closer to despair. Sauron's orcs infested the mines, serving as unwitting guardians for the Balrog, but ultimately loyal to him. He had long coveted Moria's depths, not just for Mithril, but for ancient powers like the Balrog that could bolster his armies against the free peoples. In visions through the Palantir, Sauron glimpsed the stirring demon, plotting to send reinforcements, perhaps even a Nazgul, to claim allegiance from Durin's Bane, turning it into a weapon in his war for the Ring. This encounter in Moria was no coincidence. Sauron's influence wove through the shadows, pulling strings to ensnare the Fellowship and reclaim his precious artifact. Friend, imagine how such encounters test us, forcing confrontations with forces larger than ourselves, much like those moments when life's paths cross with unexpected challenges, revealing inner strengths we didn't know we possessed. The name Fellowship, simple yet profound, draws from bonds of camaraderie, rooted in words for unity and shared purpose, evolving into a symbol of collective resilience against overwhelming odds. Isn't it intriguing how this gathering of souls builds the story's heart, reflecting how our own circles of friends become anchors in turbulent times? The Balrog, sensing intruders, began to rouse fully, its inner pulsing with territorial fury, yet laced with a faint curiosity about these bold trespassers, like repressed instincts surfacing in a dream state. Sauron amplified this through his dark will, urging his orcs to drive the Fellowship deeper toward the confrontation that could shatter their quest. As they reached the bridge of Khazad-dûm, a narrow span over a yawning chasm, the pursuit intensified, orcs swarming, arrows flying like shadows. But Gandalf's staff glowed, holding back the tide. Then the Balrog emerged, a towering figure of flame and shadow, its roar shaking the foundations. Frodo's heart pounded, thoughts of home and burden overwhelming him, while Gandalf stood firm, his inner resolve steeling against the familiar evil. Hidden from the Fellowship, I reveal the wizard's deeper musings. This confrontation was no accident, but an echo of ancient struggles, a chance to balance the scales of his own immortal journey. Sauron, sensing the clash through the ring's pull, exulted in the chaos, knowing that even if the Balrog fell, the distraction could allow his forces to close in on Frodo. The air crackled with tension, the Balrog's whip coiling like a serpent, ready to strike, its mind a whirlwind of destruction and ancient grudge. Gimli, axe in hand, recalled dwarven tales of the Bane, his thoughts fierce with vengeance, while Boromir pondered the quest's fragility. This build-up, Wanderer, links the awakening to the clash ahead, weaving threads of heroism and horror into a tapestry that invites reflection on unity's power. As flames illuminated the bridge, the narrative teeters on the edge, drawing you deeper into the auditory embrace, where choices define destinies and shadows reveal truths, with Sauron's gaze fixed upon the unfolding drama. Deeper into the fray, dear Wanderer, as the chasm's edge looms like the brink of a profound revelation. I, Ragnar, illuminate the epic duel that would echo through ages, peering into the storm of wills and hidden intents. On the slender bridge of Khazad-dûm, Gandalf faced the Balrog, his staff raised like a beacon against the encroaching inferno. "You shall not pass," he thundered, his voice cutting through the chaos, but in his mind, a torrent of calculations swirled. Memories of his Maiar origins, clashing with the demon's corrupted form, a mirror of what he might have become. The Fellowship watched in horror, Frodo clutching the ring, his thoughts a whirlwind of fear and resolve, urging him to flee, yet binding him to the moment. The Balrog advanced, whip cracking with fiery precision, shadows spreading like wings of night, its essence boiling with rage. I see into its core. Inner flashes of ancient wars fueled its assault. Drive to dominate laced with a repressed echo of loss, much like those internal battles where anger masks deeper vulnerabilities, pushing us toward confrontations that shape who we are. Gandalf countered with blasts of light, the bridge trembling under their power, stones cracking as flame met magic in a symphony of destruction. Aragorn urged the others onward, his mind racing with strategies, while Sam, ever loyal, thought only of protecting his master, a simple devotion cutting through the terror. Sauron, attuned to the ring's presence, felt every tremor of the battle, his dark will surging through it to weaken Gandalf's resolve and embolden the Balrog. The One Ring amplified the shadows, whispering despair to Frodo and stirring the Balrog's fury, as if Sauron himself directed the demon's lashes. This duel served Sauron's ends perfectly. By pitting two mire against each other, he ensured mutual exhaustion, clearing a path for his orcs to pursue the Ringbearer. In Mordor, Sauron rallied forces, anticipating the Fellowship's fracture, his plans for domination hinging on such pivotal clashes. The Balrog, unknowingly, became a pawn in Sauron's greater game, its ancient grudge against the light aligning with the Dark Lord's quest to reclaim his power. Friend, consider how such clashes highlight the dance of light and dark within us all, where standing firm against overwhelming odds teaches lessons in courage that linger long after the fight. The term Khazad-dûm, with its dwarven roots evoking grandeur and depth, transforms here into a stage of legend, showing how places gain mythic weight through the events they host, much like landmarks in our lives become symbols of personal triumphs or trials. Isn't it fascinating how this battle's intensity propels the tale forward, echoing real-world moments where resolve turns the tide? The Balrog's roars drowned out the orc's cries, its whip ensnaring Gandalf's leg, pulling him toward the abyss, but the wizard's sword, Glamdring, flashed, severing the bridge in a desperate gambit. As the span collapsed, both plummeted into the void. Gandalf's final glance to his companions filled with unspoken farewell, his thoughts a blend of sacrifice and hope for their quest. Hidden from view, I reveal the Balrog's inner turmoil. In the fall, a fleeting question arose. Why this endless strife? An inner whisper amid the fury, akin to those reflective pauses when we question our paths mid-struggle. The Fellowship escaped, hearts heavy, Legolas sensing the profound shift, while Merry and Pippin grappled with loss in their innocent ways. Sauron, sensing Gandalf's fall through the ring, pressed his advantage, ordering pursuits that would test the scattered group, his shadow extending even into Moria's depths. This pivotal moment, Adventurer, bridges the encounter to its aftermath, inviting contemplation on how battles, won or lost, forge unbreakable bonds. The duel raged on in the depths, unseen, but its echoes rippled outward, reshaping fates. Wanderer, let the chapter's drama settle like dust after a storm, connecting to the bridge's tension, hinting at rebirths to come, as the narrative draws you further into realms of shadow and light, with Sauron's machinations ever tightening their grip. Ah, friend, as the bridge's collapse echoes fade into the endless void below, like a sigh swallowed by the night, I, Ragnar, descend with you into the abyss, unveiling the hidden struggles and transformations that unfold in darkness unseen. Gandalf and the Balrog plummeted together, locked in a grapple of flame and light, the chasm's depths swallowing them whole. Far from the Fellowship's grieving eyes, their battle raged on, whips clashing against staff, each strike illuminating caverns vast and ancient, where forgotten waters rushed like buried emotions, finally unleashed. Gandalf's mind, amid the fury, flashed with visions of his purpose, thoughts of the ring's peril fueling his resolve, while the Balrog's essence burned with unyielding defiance, its inner stirring with fragments of ancient kinship, a repressed bond twisted by time. In those plummeting moments, the wizard's power waned, his form battered, but a deeper strength awakened, drawing from wells of wisdom long dormant. I peer into the chaos. Gandalf confronted not just a demon, but echoes of his own potential for fall, much like those profound dives into our inner selves, where facing shadows leads to renewal, emerging stronger from the trial. They crashed into icy pools at the abyss's bottom, the shock quenching flames momentarily, allowing a brief, tense standoff. The Balrog, regenerating its fire, lashed out anew, but Gandalf, drawing on forgotten lore, countered with spells that pierced the shadow, his thoughts a whirlwind of sacrifice and hope, mirroring how we often find clarity in our darkest hours. Sauron, ever vigilant through the One Ring's link to Frodo, sensed the ongoing duel as tremors in his dark realm, viewing it as a chance to eliminate a key foe while advancing his own agenda. The ring's influence extended even here, subtly weakening Gandalf by amplifying doubts and empowering the Balrog with surges of shadow energy, as if Sauron's malice bridged the distances. In Mordor, he accelerated preparations, forging more orc legions and dispatching spies to track the Fellowship's remnants, knowing Gandalf's potential demise would fracture their unity and bring the ring closer to his grasp. Sauron had long studied Maiar conflicts, drawing lessons from Melkor's wars to refine his control over such beings. This abyss battle reinforced his belief in exploiting ancient rivalries, much like how he later turned Saruman against the Free Peoples. Adventurer, picture how such descents reshape us, turning apparent ends into beginnings, much like life's plunges that force growth from despair. The name Abyss, with roots evoking bottomless depths, evolves here into a metaphor for transformation, connecting to how chasms in stories symbolize the unknown we must navigate. Isn't it compelling how this fall propels the narrative's arc, reflecting those times when rock bottom becomes a launch pad for change? The duel ascended then, climbing snow-swept peaks, Gandalf pursuing the weakened Balrog, their conflict a testament to endurance. In the Balrog's mind, inner doubts flickered. Why persist in this cycle? Akin to dreams, where persistent struggles reveal paths to peace. Sauron, monitoring through arcane means, sought to tip the scales, his dark will urging the Balrog toward victory, envisioning a world where such a demon could guard his borders against elven incursions. Finally, on Xiraxigil's summit, under a stormy sky, Gandalf struck the fatal blow, shattering the Balrog's form, its essence dissipating like smoke on the wind. The wizard, spent, lay dying, his spirit transcending, reborn as Gandalf the White, purer and mightier. Hidden from the world, I reveal his rebirth's essence, a shedding of old burdens, an inner release that echoed the Balrog's own corrupted fall, reminding us how confrontations with our demons can lead to profound self-discovery. Sauron felt the Balrog's defeat as a distant quake, raging at the loss of a potential ally, but adapting swiftly, redoubling efforts to corrupt men like the Easterlings, ensuring his wars would continue unabated. The Fellowship, meanwhile, pressed on without him, their bonds tested, Aragorn leading with quiet determination, thoughts heavy with loss, yet ignited by purpose. As news of the event rippled through Middle-earth, whispers of the Balrog's defeat inspired hope amid growing shadows. Friend, let this chapter's descent and rise linger, linking the battle's intensity to legacies ahead, inviting you to ponder how endings weave into new threads in the grand tapestry. The abyss recedes, the tale nearing its reflective close, drawing you gently toward restful contemplation, with Sauron's schemes undeterred in the face of light's resilience. Welcome to the culmination, dear wanderer, as the abyss's echoes soften into a serene hush, like the last notes of a lullaby fading into dream. I, Regnar, weave the final threads of this tale, illuminating enduring mysteries and the shadows they cast across time. With the Balrog's fall, its legacy endured not in flesh, but in lore, tales whispered by firesides, warning of depths where ancient evils lurk, inspiring generations to vigilance. Durin's bane, though slain, left Moria a haunted ruin, a reminder of hubris's cost, while Gandalf's rebirth bolstered the fight against Sauron, his white robe symbolizing light's triumph over corruption. The Fellowship's quest continued, forever marked by the sacrifice, their thoughts often drifting to that fateful bridge, pondering the thin line between ally and adversary. Yet friend, the true enigma lingers in the Balrog's form, those wings of shadow, described in scrolls as spreading like vast darkness, sparking endless debate. Were they literal appendages for flight, or mere metaphors for terror's reach? I delve into the unseen. In the creature's final moments, its shadows unfurled not to soar, but to envelop, an inner expression of isolation, much like how our own fears manifest in ways that feel tangible yet illusory, urging us to question what we perceive. Scholars and storytellers argue, some citing textual hints of gliding, others insisting on poetic intent, a divide that enriches the myth, connecting to how ambiguities in life foster deeper understanding. Sauron, undaunted by the Balrog's demise, wove its legacy into his own dark tapestry, using tales of such demons to instill fear in his enemies and rally his minions. From Barad-dûr, he reflected on the Balrogs as echoes of Melkor's might, incorporating their fiery terror into his strategies, forging weapons that mimicked their whips, and summoning shadows reminiscent of their forms to haunt battlefields. The loss of Durin's bane was a setback, but Sauron adapted, turning Moria into a strategic outpost for his orcs, mining its depths for resources to fuel his war machine. His pursuit of the One Ring intensified, drawing on lessons from the Balrog's corruption to ensnare more servants, like the Ringwraiths, ensuring his dominion would surpass even Melkor's. In the end, Sauron's focus on such ancient powers underscored his ambition to bind all remnants of the old world under his rule, transforming fallen Maiar legacies into tools for eternal shadow. Adventurer, reflect on how legacies like this shape